Hubbub, a chaotic din caused by a crowd of people.
This episode of the Hubbub podcast is sponsored by Evolve, the Pipedrive CRM experts, your trusted partner for the #1 easy-to-use and effective sales CRM, Pipedrive, helping you get started and maximise your CRM investment.
Hello and welcome to Series 6, Episode 2 of the Directors Hub podcast Hubbub. With us today is Mary Kemp from AI Potential and Brighton AI to talk about her business and how she got into AI and how AI is changing the business landscape, I guess. Hello Mary, nice to see you.
Lovely to
With
see
me
you
also is my co-host Bruce Bignell from Evolve Pipedrive, and I'm Faye from Gingerbread World.
Hello.
So tell us a bit more about what you do then, Mary, to explain what your company is.
I can. How much time have we got? So AI Potential, we're generative AI transformation. I'm not going to say experts company. I don't think anyone can call themselves a Gen AI expert. I think it's so fast moving that there is no way to keep up with it. And anyone listening to this, I would tell you to not even try. So we're just 15 minutes ahead. We really didn't know what we were biting off. We didn't realise how far ahead of the curve we were. So before this, we've had our own company working in corporate America. So we were working with big agencies out there, or big corporations out there even, in business development and strategy and bringing on big clients for them. 2 years ago now, playing with chat, went down the rabbit hole, and there was a large piece of work we used to do, an ideal client persona or an avatar, and it would take us 4 to 6 weeks. The team would have to interview people, and we charged a lot of money for that work, and that's how we were able to bring on the big fish for our clients. And we were able to do it in under an hour with chat, and I always hate saying this bit, and it did a better job than us. So at that point, apart from feeling sorry for ourselves, we decided we had a choice to make. We could just sit and wait for it to come to us and be disrupted, or we could lean in and help other organizations navigate the disruption. So that's what we did. And we haven't looked back since. So even though we're AI enabled, we're running really hard, and the market seems to be catching up with us now, which is lovely. So it's a very interesting business to be in.
Yes, because AI has really gone from being not, in common parlance, just a few years ago, to being suddenly everywhere, and everybody's talking about AI and how it will fit into business and how it fits into our lives in general. So you're kind of, I guess, your business is at the vanguard of that, or the crest of that wave, if you like, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, it's really funny. We were with a large org last week. And most of the people I talk to are really relational, but occasionally you'll come across kind of a classic CEO. And he was a classic CEO. Why should we work with you? What's the value you're going to give us? All of that kind of a difficult conversation. And a CTO whispered in his ear and kind of said, well, actually, our choices are to go to a big consulting group like BCG or any of those, or them. I've researched it and there's no one else out there doing what they're doing. And the CEO said, well, that's interesting. Still tell me the numbers. But so we didn't kind of realise what we were stepping into. And it's important for people to know that there is no opting out. We've all been signed up to this big AI experiment, and avoiding it and ignoring it is not a long-term strategy.
So when companies come to you, where are they at with AI? They know about AI, they're sort of using it a bit, or they don't have a strategy in place of how they can implement it in their business, and how do you help them, basically?
Everything and all of that. So when we first started training and going to organizations, I used to get really nervous because people say, oh yes, we've got advanced users in our company. I'm happy to report I have yet to meet an advanced user. So few. They're all of the way. And what's really interesting is that we weren't expecting initially to be working with highly regulated industries, and that's actually what's happening. So law, finance and accounting are actually some of the biggest sectors that we work with. So for most of them, there's kind of two things going on. There's capacity and productivity and future proofing on one side. So they want the outcomes that a proper implementation will give them. The other side is they want to be responsible employers and look after their people. So we've worked with a manufacturing company and they wanted to employ less and pay more. Another big creative agency, and their whole thing was our people aren't going to be here forever, so we have a responsibility as an employer to make them fit for the future of work that they go back out into. So there's a whole range going on, and it very much is people first for the organisations we work with, and then they do want the increased capacity and they want to make sure it's embedded, but often they have no strategy. They have nowhere to start. It's overwhelming. They've got a lumpy tech stack that's probably not serving them. One of the big agencies we spoke to, their tech stack subscription is $500,000 a year. Wow. And there's going to be a lot of bloat in that and a lot of things that aren't connected. So we kind of help them navigate that and navigate the risk as well. Because that's what they're worried about. Organizations are worried about desk by desk use because from their point of view, their risk is the weakest link. So the person that might share sensitive information or something like that, or, just cut and paste the standard chat, lazy chat with the M dashes and the American spellings in an email to a client. So, because from their perspective, the risk is spread across every employee in the organization, it's really scary for them. So we help them navigate that and help them set up their AI culture. So we always tell them this, and it's true. If you're not setting up your AI culture is being set for you and you won't like it.
So what would you say are some of the challenges with implementing or adopting AI at this stage that companies are facing? Is it that they're suspicious of it, or that they don't know how to integrate it with their existing workflows? What are the main challenges you've come across?
So the risk thing is a big thing. So, for example, what we see in the future is that companies will go down two lines, really. There'll be Google or there'll be Microsoft, so Copilot or Gemini. I wasn't recommending Gemini up until the end of last year when they updated the model, and now it is much more fit for purpose. So their main thing is security and data. So, for example, in a big org that we were talking to, Copilot is great because it shares all the knowledge base, can go into all of the files and unlocks the knowledge that's in the organization, which is a huge advantage for an organization. However, that comes with a downside. So because it can access SharePoint, if somebody has put a document in there and not tagged it properly, whereas someone wouldn't have found it before, with Copilot they can find it. So they might find sensitive salary information or somebody's personal improvement plan or something, just because it wasn't put in the right place and doesn't have the right save settings on it. So, I was speaking to a CEO of that organization, and that's what worries the most, unintended consequences. So, and that wasn't even external risk, that was internally that it might cause a problem in the organization. So probably last year we were seeing really, really worried about data security and reputational risk and all of that kind of thing. And that was outweighing the drive for implementation. But what they're seeing now is they're like, actually, we're going to be left behind. So now they're kind of like, we actually do need to take action and we want to be ahead of the game. So it's kind of swinging. And now they're trying to figure out how to get both, how to keep everything secure while unleashing it within the organization. Yeah. Because generally we see a doubling of capacity and we actually guarantee our training 300% ROI in our training because we can demonstrate that through time saved.
Wow, that's a huge ROI, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So at our most basic level, we say you can do 5 days of work in 4.
Yeah. And that must be something that I guess companies respond to because they can. That's quantifiable for them, I suppose.
It's tangible.
Guess some people with AI it's hard to see how it might fit into their roles. And of course, you're going to get the kickback, I guess, of it's going to take our jobs as well, as opposed to it's going to make our jobs more efficient.
So AI is not going to take your jobs. People using AI will.
Yeah.
The World Economic Forum meets every year in Davos in January, and they release an employment report, The Future of Work. They're predicting a net gain of jobs of 78 million roles over the next 5 years. So AI will create more roles than it deletes. However, make no mistake, it will come with a huge amount of disruption.
Yeah. I suppose, one of the examples that I've come across before is in insurance when I've been writing about insurance, and that AI is increasingly used for basic claims and things like that, data collation and input and all sorts of things. But when it comes to more complex claims or that sort of thing, then you still need the actual human loss assessors, adjusters and stuff. You can't. So it's like the lower, more data-based jobs they can do, but not so much the nuanced stuff that you still need a human mind for.
Exactly. There are lots of tools and things you can use, and I think it's really important for people to realise where you should and where you shouldn't use it. And really important for people to realise it's a skill and not a tool. Yeah. So forget about the tools. The tools will come and go, and we've seen that happen. I mean, overnight, a tool that you've been using every day will be replaced. Yeah. It's the skill of using it. Yeah. And what people generally do is take their Google skills to Gen AI, and it doesn't translate. Yeah. And they're also not sharing best practice. Everyone's learning on the fly. Yeah. With no structure and nothing to kind of back it up. Yeah. So it's for organisations to realise that. It's also for people to realise that there isn't a right way to use ChatGPT. Yeah. The right way is the way that works for you and gives you the best output. Well,
I mean, I've heard you talk about this before, and I know you said that ChatGPT, and I guess all AI models, will lie on occasion because if they can't find the answer, they will find the best fit or what they think you want to hear. Tell us a bit more about that.
That's absolutely true. So, and it's getting better. So today is the worst it will ever be. Yeah. But it's a pattern-seeking machine. All it is predicting the likelihood that the next pixel or the next word is right. So if it can't find the pattern that you want, it will try and be super helpful. It's an ultimate people pleaser, and it will try and give you an answer. Yeah. So all you need to do is say, "Are you lying?" Yeah. And it'll either say two things. It'll either say nope and be quite indignant and give you all the reasons why it's not. Or it'll say, this is for illustrative purposes. Please do your research. So anyone who's using it to do any facts or research or anything like that, always double check it. Yeah. So I usually just cut and paste it into perplexity.ai or even Google. That's so old school. And just fact check it just to make sure, because Gen AI or chat is very good at coming out with plausible nonsense. And if you're not an area expert, you can it can seem like it's fantastic and you can actually, cause yourself problems.
It won't tell you, I don't know.
No.
It wants to give you an answer, right? So
it'll keep on lying. So somebody had it the other day where it said, don't worry, I'm working on this behind the scenes and I'll email it to you. Yeah. Well, there's no way it can do that. It's like there's no connection for it to be able to do that. So it's being super helpful.
The social crutches that humans use.
So it's really funny. It was like, I'll email you.
It, isn't it? Yeah. It's almost like, and that was an interesting thing, actually. Do you think that people will build relationships with AI, and even romantic relationships like the film Her, isn't it, with Joaquin Phoenix and
already happening. Yeah. So they're called replicas, spelled with a K, and in Japan it's legal to marry your replica.
That's a bit mad, isn't it?
So yes, it already exists. And there is loads of science fiction heading our way. One of the big frontiers at the moment is interspecies communication. Okay. That's actually happening. Wow. So they've got some now mechanism for talking to whales, and they're developing one on talking to dogs that will listen to what they say and look at their body language. I don't know if I want to know what my dog's saying to me.
No, because they might say something really horrible.
Yeah, go outside and he's wagging his tail and I think he likes me and he's like, oh my goodness, you're awful.
Yeah. I hate everything you do for me every single day.
Let me free.
I don't want to hear the pillow talk when my neighbour's dog is humping my leg.
Oh God.
No, we don't want to know any of that. But I just think it's crazy, it's overwhelming, and it can do everything. Yeah. So it's great that it can do everything, and that's the problem. It can do everything. People don't know where to start. Yeah.
Start and or stop. And I actually want to change tack here, because I think you're starting something with Brighton AI, right? Co-founding this. What does that mean to you, and what do you think that, as a community, you want it to kind of foster?
So I want to stand and shout at the top of the i360 and just let everyone know that this isn't tech and that there is no barrier to entry and all they need to do is talk. Yeah. So I'm trying to put something, and I don't know if there's a better name for it, but for the Silver Surfers, because they can actually lead this. So anyone that's isolated, and for a lot of elderly people, their main job is managing their medical care. So, which is an absolute nightmarish landscape to navigate, particularly if you don't have a big support structure around you, because at the moment you need to be a greasy wheel, or a squeaky wheel. Yeah, right. Not the greasy one. You need to be fixed. You need to, squeaky wheel, and you need to keep on going and following up. And it can be a full-time job for people with health conditions. And that also means they're isolated and the quality of life isn't great. So this can be a massive game changer for them. Even talking to it, and I've checked it out for kind of basic medical advice, and it's sound. So it's a massive unlocker for so many people, and it's a huge opportunity. And usually with digital transformations, so many people are left behind. So people in minority groups, disadvantaged, socioeconomic, the elderly, they're all left behind, and we have no excuse, and that should not be happening in our community. So I kind of want to, a rising tide should rise all ships, and I want to rise all blimmin' ships. So as much as we can to involve everyone and make them feel okay and safe so that they can start to play.
It's interesting actually what you said about that, because I use AI, and I use it in the course of writing. I use it more as a research tool, and then go and fact check and go to reputable sites to make sure the stats add up and everything. But I don't know that my parents would even know how to use ChatGPT or anything like that. It just wouldn't enter their heads to do it. Yet perhaps it could prove very useful to them for lots of different things.
Hugely useful, all sorts of different things that they can do with it. It's just a massive, if we think about it as for every person on the planet that has access to Gen AI, which is actually probably 1/3 of the planet, you now have a personal assistant that knows everything about you and can assist you in all areas. But that doesn't matter if you're not using it.
Do you think it's because they're just, I hate to say it, but written off, like they're just, people assume they won't want to use it in the same way that they won't want to use like wearable tech, for example. So don't even bother marketing to them.
They're not digital natives, they're digital immigrants. So they, for them, their working career was basically after the invention of the computer. So they weren't native to it like the next generations were. So they've always probably subconsciously been on the back foot. And now this new wave comes in, and it's like they feel even more left out, when actually they could be the ones leading it. Because what you find with AI is the more experience you've got, the better the output. And these are our most experienced people in our community. So for all of us, up until this point, our whole meaning in life was to find the best answers. We were area experts, and it was all about finding the answers. And now the answers no longer matter. It's about asking the right questions. And these people know the right questions to ask. They know how to interrogate the output. So we pivoted our business because we thought someone with a $20 subscription could replicate 20 years worth of experience. What we now know, which we didn't know at the time, is that we were only able to get that result because we were leading it with 20 years worth of experience. Anyone else could have gone in and asked for an ideal client persona and an avatar, and they wouldn't have got the quality of data that we got out because they wouldn't have known what they were doing.
So input is key, basically. And what you're saying is people that, from older generations that have all that experience, they have a fundamental part to play, because it's generative AI. It's learning, isn't it? So they have a fundamental part to play with the prompts that they include to help that AI learn better and produce better answers.
And I don't want anyone to be put off by the word prompt. When you hear prompt, just hear question, because that's all it is. And if you don't know the question to ask, AI will write it for you. So, there is anyone listening, you do not need to be a prompt engineer. You need to be curious, and you need to ask questions. That is it. That is all you need to unlock.
It's. I think it was in the last 48 hours, the image generation is kind of... And it's talking about there, not prompt is a question. We're blurring the lines between imagination. For the longest time, there was a keyboard in between our head or there is the quill, then the pen, then the keyboard. Now our voice and our questioning can bring to life, or into digital life, the output. So how do you think that's going to just continue and or get better and or
there's going to be a massive shift. So OpenAI, and I'm not going to remember all the steps, have 5 steps of AI, which starts with chatbots and ends, and I think step 4 is innovator, where it's actually able to innovate itself. So and step 3 I think is reasoning, because we have reasoning models at the moment, but they're not true reasoning. They're an approximation of reasoning, but we will get to the point in which it can reason itself. But when it gets to step 4, which is the innovator step, that's when it can do its own innovative thought and creative thinking. At the moment, it can't do that, and it relies on us. So we're humans in the loop. We will get to a stage in which even that can be replicated. So none of us really know what that's going to bring or what that's going to look like. Humans are terrible at predicting the future, and there is no consensus of what the future will look like. So kind of all I'm operating from is that the tools are neutral, and it's all down to the person using it. So we need to be good actors, and we need to do as much as we can. I'm not going to use the E word, empower, because chat uses that all the time. But we need to support and help people. And, we need to lead as many people to water as we can, so that they can see actually, because it feels like a big thing and it's actually a little thing. They just need to type something in. They need to take a bit. It's really funny. We say to people, take a picture of your fridge, and we've now had to change that. We've had to say, open the door of your fridge, because we did have someone that just took a picture of the door of their fridge. So open the door of your fridge, take a picture, say, I'm hungry, I want something I can eat in 10 minutes, make me a recipe, and it will recognise all the ingredients and it will make a recipe for you based on that.
Bloody Mary.
Yeah, Bloody Mary. Yeah.
What have you got in your fridge, Bruce?
A Bloody Mary for breakfast. But we want, so simple stuff that's there, outside of work, to play and do silly stuff with it, so that you start to unlock it and, be like a child. See if you can break it.
It is that curiosity is key, isn't it? Because it's almost like throw the rule book out the window and say whatever you want to it.
Yep.
I mean, even in gingerbread, I've started using it a bit. Yes, to generate ideas for blogs and stuff like that, but when you talk about the image stuff, I've sort of gone and said, right, create me a gingerbread Taj Mahal, but it's not that we can actually create it can't create the actual gingerbread creation for us, but it will give us an idea, and we'll go, oh, that's actually, rather than me sitting for hours drawing it out on paper, it's there, and we can use it as a template and a base for what we then go on to do. So in that respect, it's quite handy. I was having a good old play on it the other day with lots of gingerbread images. God knows what it must think of me, but
it's just an unlocker. And it's not about abdication, it's about augmentation.
I definitely think it's an assistant, or it gives you support and enhances and optimizes and improves your productivity on everything you do. That's the way I view it. But I guess some people probably still view it with suspicion and getting over that hurdle of, well, what do I say to it? Well, you can say anything you want. Yeah.
It's important for people to realise as well that AI isn't neutral. It is obedient, but it's not neutral. It's a biased system. It's being fed on eating the internet for breakfast. The internet is reflective of white middle America. So there are biases in it. There is no way around that. So as a human, we need to mitigate on our end. And the problem with a lot of it is that it's invisible. So, it's just important for people to be aware of that.
Well, I think it's something that, it's a really useful tool for aiding what you do, but then you do have to be mindful of what it says, because in my role as a copywriter, when not making gingerbread, increasingly I see briefs coming through, or I see copy online, and you can tell just by the way it's written that it's wholesale lifted from ChatGPT, just because of the way ChatGPT writes its generic articles. And I think that's quite a lazy way of doing it. And I'm pretty sure that at some point Google will start penalising if they're not already doing it.
I think they do. I think it's called synthetic content. They were doing it for AI videos on YouTube. But when I think about this, I'd like to get your input. Jeff Bezos once said, what people always ask what's going to change in the next 10 years, but what isn't going to change is what allows, the customer always wants a cheaper product, right? What would you say to, in that world, in the AI space, what isn't going to change? Is it the human prompt? Is it all the questions? Like, what are the principles that we can take into this?
I think everything's going to change. So I think right now we're humans in the loop. I think everything's going to change. I think over the next few years. So right now it can't do anything without us. And the next iteration is that we start to see automation. So where it can do things without us.
Yeah.
And actually we're developing training now because it's on the horizon of teaching people how to manage their digital teams, because people will have digital teams. I think the only thing that won't change, and it's kind of probably not a really good answer, but is the acceleration of AI. So the only thing that's slowing down AI acceleration at the moment is us, so we're not scared of AI, but we are scared of uncertainty. And you're seeing that play out house by house, person by person, business by business, in how they're adopting it.
Do you think they're suspicious of it? I mean, because you've got at the extreme, you've got the Terminator scenario, and but beyond that, you've got the idea that AI will become smarter than us, quicker than us, and basically overtake us. That plays a big part in
that's all
people's
going to happen.
worries.
Yeah. So right now, most of the large language models can outperform humans in every task or area of their role. So that's only going to continue.
Yeah.
So it really is. So we're in our day-to-day, and actually it's overwhelming to look into the future. Nobody agrees, but I would say there is one timeless principle that will always continue, which is humans want to connect with humans.
Yeah.
So that will not change. So although we might have AI doing some of our heavy lifting, we're basically outsourcing knowledge work to it, and we're outsourcing tasks. Humans will always want to connect with humans, and we'll see a shift towards, and we've seen it in China a little bit, where they've almost got a trademark. This 100% was created by a human, and we'll have music that this was 100% created by a human.
The rise of the artisan. I think there's going to be like this artisanal piece that would be, whether it's actual, because it used to be the artisan baker, but I think you're going to have the artisan maker digital work. This was crafted.
This book was written totally by a human, and we're going to start to see that. So that human connection, I think, will become more valued. That won't change. We will still make friends with robots and make friends with AI, but it doesn't, for most people, it doesn't replace human contact.
Some people might marry their lamp, but we're all for free love.
Yeah. Somebody married the Statue of Liberty, didn't they? So it's fine. You do you.
I suppose there's always going to be people that find something alternative in it, I guess. One thing I wanted to ask about was because ChatGPT is, I suppose, one of the most well-known ones out there. And then I saw that there was one recently that came out, one that came out of the blue from nowhere. Is it DeepSeek?
Yeah, we love DeepSeek.
And that's because it's Chinese based, isn't it? So there's loads of suspicion around that and the Chinese. And then somebody said to me, if you ask it about the Chinese government, it won't give you an answer. Are there things with ChatGPT that are the same? Like, if you ask it about the American government, Donald Trump, for example, it won't give you a legitimate answer or anything.
Not yet. So at the moment, it's not. And you can ask it to do funny pictures of the orange toddler if you want to. So DeepSeek, the reason I said I love DeepSeek was that it's a massive step change for AI. And it's really funny that it's, you can play with it. And yes, the data goes back to China. But it's open source, so you can make your own version of it that you can run yourself, in which the data stays with you. So Berkeley University have done that. A lot of others have done it. But it's a very different model to OpenAI's ChatGPT. It used much less data to train, and it has a much smaller footprint. And that's unintended consequences. So China, because of trade sanctions, didn't have access to the biggest, fanciest NVIDIA chips. They had to make do with the old school, low-powered ones. And so this was their workaround. This is where DeepSeek comes from, that they had to make do with old tech and make it work, and they have. So it's a massive step change. And a massive step change for sustainability as well, because its footprint is smaller. And that's what we'll see going forwards. I get a lot of questions about sustainability.
Yeah, because that was something that I've come across before, is the amount of electricity and space needed for the data centres required for AI is how's that going to look in the future?
So the data usage will get smaller.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of companies go from Microsoft to Google because Google is more sustainable.
Right.
So their data centers are on track for net zero this year.
Yeah.
And so one of the issues is that some of the data centers use water evaporation as cooling, which means a huge amount of water waste. But, with DeepSeek, the footprint's smaller, the energy use is smaller. So one query on AI is about equivalent to a Google search,
Okay.
but we're using it a lot more.
Yeah.
But then it is, so there is a sustainability cost, but what is the opportunity cost?
Right.
And the opportunity cost absolutely outweighs the sustainability cost, as long as we continue to move forwards and do what we can to stop ruining the planet.
Yeah. Well, I think we are sort of coming to the end of the podcast now. That's gone really fast as usual, but it's really interesting. I could talk about AI all day because I find it an absolutely fascinating subject. But bring it back to sort of businesses and businesses adopting AI and now in the coming months and years. What are sort of the things that you would give us a sort of a bullet point list of things you would advise them?
Sort out your AI policy. Chat will help you build it. And remember, you kind of need two versions of it. You need an internal version, like how do you want your people to use it internally? What are the rules and boundaries, and make it really clear.
Yeah.
Otherwise, every business will have ghost AI going on where people are using it secretly and not sharing, and because they don't know where they stand or they feel embarrassed because they're getting it to do its work. So you need that level internally, but you also need an outwards facing one.
Yeah.
Because most businesses actually swap time for money.
Yeah.
And they're going to start getting questions from their customers going, well, if you've used AI, you've done this faster, so surely I can have it yesterday for half the price.
Yeah.
So anyone that's in that kind of model, so you may directly be in that model like legal or accounting, but even creative agencies, that's how they cost things. So it's a big transition. They need to transition to charging for value and outcome rather than for time to do that. And so they need to start having a narrative within the organization with how they deal with those inquiries, and a more outward facing policy that kind of talks about that with transparency. Transparency is key. So they need to be ready for that pivot. And then they need to realize that they really do need to train their workforce. So the EU AI Act is coming into play August this year. It will be phased in, but the long and the short of it is that employers are required by law to train their employees on generative AI. So on any high-risk task, and generative AI can obviously fall within that, which doesn't sound like it would matter to anyone listening to the podcast, but that legislation applies to any organization outside of the EU that trades within it.
Okay.
So which is going to impact a huge number of UK businesses. So it's just for people to realise that and realise how it will impact them. And then think about starting small. So maybe identify a couple of AI champions internally once you've got your policies in place, and start to think about how they could help you lead the transformation.
Brilliant. Well, that's been really fascinating to hear all about it, Mary. Thank you ever so much for coming in. And where can we find you online?
You can find me aipotential.ai, all the AIs, or come and find me at Mary Kemp on LinkedIn. I'm really happy to connect with anyone to talk everything AI.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Hubbub, a chaotic din caused by a crowd of people.